Will Smith made his first $1 million before he was 25. By 40, he had earned more from a single film than most people see in 10 lifetimes. Homes, cars, a level of success most of us only picture in daydreams. And in his own words, he has described that exact period of his life as one of the emptiest he ever lived through. Not despite the money. Because of it. When he was young and broke, he had a story that kept him going. If only I had more money, everything would feel right. That story gave him fuel for years. Then the money arrived. And the story stopped working. He was still the same person inside, just without an excuse left to hide behind. My name is MM, and welcome to Wealth with MM, where we go deeper than the spreadsheets and into the psychology that actually determines your financial future. What Will Smith ran into has a name in psychology: the hedonic treadmill. It's the reason more money, no matter how much more, almost never feels like enough. This isn't going to be another video telling you to want less or be more grateful. We're going to show you the actual mechanism behind why the goalpost keeps moving. Because once you can see a mechanism clearly, it stops controlling you from the shadows. And here's the question worth sitting with for the next 10 minutes. If the most financially successful people on earth still feel like they're falling behind, what does that tell us about what we're actually chasing? Is there a way to actually catch it? There is. Let's get into how this trap works. Your brain doesn't measure wealth in absolute numbers. It measures it relative to expectation and relative to the people around you. Every time your circumstances improve, your internal baseline quietly creeps upward to match. The salary that felt huge in January feels routine by June. The promotion gives you a real, genuine high for a few weeks. Then it's just your life again. And the gap between where you are and where you think you should be reopens, almost exactly as wide as before. This isn't a character flaw. It's biology doing exactly what it was built to do. For most of human history, never feeling satisfied kept our ancestors alive, always pushing for more food, more safety, more resources. A version of you that felt permanently content would have stopped striving, stopped gathering, stopped preparing for winter. That version didn't survive long enough to pass anything down. But money has no natural ceiling the way survival once did. There's always a bigger house. Always someone visibly ahead of you. And social media has turned this into a machine running faster than evolution ever designed your brain to handle. Your comparison group isn't your street anymore. It's the curated highlight reel of millions of strangers, refreshing endlessly. Think about what that actually means for a moment. 100 years ago, the wealthiest person you ever compared yourself to was probably someone in your own town. A doctor, maybe a banker, someone whose life you could observe directly, flaws included. Today, your phone hands you a never-ending parade of people who appear to have already solved the exact problem you're currently working on. New house, paid off. New car, no debt mentioned. Vacation, never showing the credit card statement behind it. You're not just competing with your neighbor anymore. You're competing with a highlight reel that was never representative of anyone's actual life, including the person who posted it. Here's a quick experiment. Picture a week in Hawaii. Clear water, perfect weather. Nowhere you need to be. Notice the feeling that comes up. Most people call it happiness, but it's actually something more specific. Contentment. The sense of this is enough. That feeling, not the trip, not the money, is the real thing being chased. Here's the catch. People who actually take that trip rarely keep that feeling intact. The room is smaller than the photos. The flight was exhausting. Someone else by the pool has a better view. Your brain, built to scan for what's missing rather than enjoy what's present, quietly starts taking notes on what could be better. You're standing in paradise, mentally drafting a complaint. That gap between the happiness you imagined and the happiness that actually shows up is the engine running the entire treadmill. It's why the bonus feels smaller the second it lands. It's why the dream house arrives with a renovation list already attached. And it doesn't stop at vacations. It shows up in almost every purchase that was supposed to be the last thing you needed. The kitchen renovation that was supposed to make the house finally feel complete. 6 months later, you're noticing the bathroom now looks dated by comparison. The car that felt like a luxury the day you drove it off the lot, within a year it's just the car, and your eye has already drifted toward the next model up. Nothing you buy was ever designed to end the search. It was only ever designed to reset it. In 2012, Stephen Hawking gave an interview reflecting on nearly 50 years of living with a disease that had taken away his ability to walk, move, and speak in his own voice. Asked for his secret to happiness, he said, his expectations had been reduced to 0 at 21, and everything since had felt like a bonus. Read that again. He didn't say he learned to want less. He said his entire baseline had been wiped out by circumstance. So every single day afterward registered as a gift instead of something owed to him. We're not going to have our expectations forced to 0. And that's not the lesson here anyway. The real lesson is this. Happiness was never about what he had. It was about the distance between what he expected and what showed up. This is worth sitting with because it cuts against almost everything we're taught about ambition. We're told to dream bigger, expect more, set higher standards for our lives. And there's real value in ambition. It drives growth. It drives effort. But there's a hidden cost to it that almost nobody calculates. Every expectation you raise is a small bet against your own future contentment. Set the bar high enough and even genuine success can land feeling like quiet disappointment, simply because it didn't clear the bar you'd already moved. And in a world constantly stretching what you believe you should have, through ads, through feeds, through everyone else's visible upgrades, that distance keeps widening no matter how much you actually earn. You don't close that gap by buying more. You close it by managing what you expect. Here's where this becomes useful instead of just true. Every dollar you spend falls into one of 2 buckets. Spending that genuinely improves your life, health, time with people you love, real experiences, real security. And spending designed mainly to signal your position to other people. The nicer car, the photogenic vacation, the watch that says something to strangers who'll forget you in 5 minutes. The first kind tends to deliver exactly what it promises. The second kind almost always feeds the treadmill, because status is relative, and relative things never stay satisfied for long. There's a simple test you can run on any purchase before you make it. Ask yourself, would I still want this if no one else would ever know I had it? If the answer is yes, if you genuinely enjoy it in private with nobody to show, it probably belongs in the first bucket. If the appeal quietly fades the moment you imagine nobody seeing it, that's the second bucket talking, and the treadmill is the only thing waiting on the other side. This is why Will Smith's money couldn't fill what he was trying to fill. The hole was never financial. So money was never going to be the answer. No amount of houses, cars, or net worth milestones can satisfy a need that was never about houses, cars, or net worth in the first place. Let's close the loop. Will Smith, at the height of success most people can't even picture, describing one of the emptiest stretches of his life. Not because the money wasn't real, because the story he told himself about what it would fix turned out to be incomplete. The feeling of enough doesn't live on the other side of a bigger number. It can't be purchased. It can only be built, deliberately against a culture that profits every time you feel behind. Stephen Hawking expected nothing and found everything extraordinary. Will Smith expected the money to be the answer and discovered it wasn't even the right question. The gap between what you have and what you expect is the only number that actually decides how wealthy you feel, not your bank balance. If this video made you see your own spending a little differently, hit like and drop a comment telling us, what's one thing you used to think would finally make you feel like enough, and did it? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next on Wealth with MM.